Yeah, I before I came across the new presentation, I went through quite a sort of series of um, sort of informations before, prior to that, and all the sort of the general stuff like lots of the spiritual courses and things like that, and information from various people like David Icke, and for the longest time I was sort of stuck on the idea of the ascension, and that was promoted quite heavily by David Wilcock and so another guy called Corey Good, I think his name was, and they were speaking about how the aliens were coming here to save us all and liberate us from the reptilians, and in particular he was speaking about the blue avians and things like this, and how we were all going to ascend out of here into a higher dimension. But having read some of your stuff and stuff you put on the Facebook pages, you were saying that there was the ascension thing is just another idea, and that it's and even if you were to ascend, you would just be moving from one part of creation into another, and it wouldn't help in any way to shift your awareness.
No, it's just a nice sounding idea. You know, it's like the government's, are you familiar with Agenda 21 in the United States? Are you familiar with that? They call it Agenda 30 now or something, where you have this perfect community with this housing and all this stuff. And see, the heavens of man, which are the astral, causal, mental worlds, these are the heavens of man. But again, they've been created too. And that's where the old idea Maya comes from. And they're wonderful places. Like on the earth, there's many wonderful, beautiful places. And you can get absorbed in it. The rich people, what do? They go to all these, Morocco and all these Caribbean places and Hawaii and, Indonesia. And, again, they do all this stuff and this is their life. They travel the world and, that's great. But, when you pass on from here and go into the astral world and the ascension idea, again, you compare the two and then you test it. And, I'm not expecting people to, just accept what it's like, oh, okay, this is it, Duane. No, I don't expect that. I'm just creating reference for people. The best part is that you look to the real side. You start to have your adventures. You go to these places that they're talking about. Okay, all of a sudden the space people, the Palladians, whatever, are going to rescue. Well, good luck. What do they know? They have a lot of sound good stuff. But they don't know how to get past creation. It's just another place in creation, and you'll be back here because you have emotional attachments here. Anywhere that you've created emotional attachments, you'll unconsciously come back. So you're just going to other places in the matrix is really what it is, and not getting through creation and recognize the isness life is. That becomes the difference. And in this day and age too, people are using what I'm saying in reference to that, and they'll mock these things up. But again, this is where you go to the real side, and eventually you'll start to see, just like you go through a course in school and you want to become a doctor or a lawyer or something. It's a lot of years. It takes a lot of patience and persistence to finally, you have that dream. But eventually you start to see it. You start to go through the course and it's like, oh, you start to see this thing, you see. And as you go through this process here of the new you, you'll start to see what's taking place in all of creation. And and some of these things you'll go with. It's fine. Go take some travels and go to the other worlds, etc. It's all fine. But what they're doing is they're setting it up like the God idea. They're setting it up as the absolute. You see, that becomes the difference. And there are no absolutes in creation because it's all cause and effect. There can't be. And it's a simulator. That's all. It's a sound good idea. And if you want to go for it, go for it. But your real awareness, well, that's really invisible. And you don't need the 5 bodies. But if you want to continue on with them, you can. Of course, the real guides use vehicles too. But all of a sudden you superseded them. And this is the bigger course. And so it's easier to take those. Most people will just go with that. It's like, oh, it sounds good, but it's a dream. But you know what? If the aliens really came down, if they really physically, and they have many to some people, a lot of it's abductions, okay? That's an agreement with the government too. Those are the bad aliens, like the Greys and the others. But anyhow, so they really came down here, and people had the opportunity to get on the spaceship. And even all the galactic people, you think they would do it? No, they wouldn't do it. It would be too real. They'd be scared out of their wits. And where are you going to go? Another planet? Or into another dimension? You know? Hey, you still have all these relationships and emotional attachments. You got your family, you got your friends, you got the restaurant down the street that you like to eat at, and, you know, all these things. They're still with you. You see? And so that draws you back. So until you get through all of it, no, you're at the mercy of your unconscious mind too. And most people don't recognize that. They look at the surface world. You're looking at your surface world here, good, bad, right or wrong or indifferent. That's your surface world. But guess what? The reptilians are controlling you in the matrix. Doesn't matter where you go in the matrix, they still control you. Because the Kalam God on the mental level, you know, he's even controlled by the Supreme Deceptor. Read Book 4. You know, there's even more than that, and he's not even aware of that. But the Kalam God controls mainly creation. He's reptilian. So it don't matter where you go, even with the Palladians, they do not have the full awareness. There's a, you know, it's like being in a prison. There's a good side of the prison. There's good people in prison, and there's bad people. And so again, in creation, it's like that. You got the good side of the prison. You got the bad side. Now, creation is neither good or bad. It's just a process you go through until you recognize the bigger picture. But it's up to you to decide how long that's going to take. And yeah, just like breaking out of prison, you know, maybe you have to dig under the whole prison, and it maybe takes you your whole lifetime, 30 years, to dig that hole to get to the other side. But that's what it takes. It takes a whole lot. So, yeah, and you decide, and here's the fun part, Kevin. Little by little, as you look at these things that you've come through, because they become comparisons, you go to the real side and test some of these things. Ask to be shown, you know, what about the Palladians? Okay, where does this go? And let's see what your experiences are. And, you know, we've had so many experiences over the years on the Skypes, and people are shown these things constantly, the limitations and restrictions. It looks good, and they can be good people. You know, like the Christians, you know, here that go to church. These are good people. But at the same time, unconsciously, they're agreeing to the demise of the planet with the reptilians. They don't see how they're slaves to the religious idea. That becomes the difference. Yeah, and that's part of the adventure, too. But all of it's okay. Because through this process, if it shocks you enough to wake up all the way, then it's done its part, hasn't it? And you're okay. That's the whole idea. So, yeah, have fun with this. And again, you're the decider. I'm not a used car salesman. I don't talk people in or out of this. All I can do is present it. It's your adventure. And you can prove it to yourself. It's all there. But, you know, I know David Wilcox. I know, you know, these people, etc. And David Icke, etc. And, yeah, they're very good. And they make a lot of money supporting themselves, which is fine. Money's fine. But at the same time, it's not about popularity. It's about awareness. But most people think it's about popularity. Oh, look at all the people that are following them. It's not about that. It's about awareness. There's only one sun in the sky, you see. There's a lot of people on the earth that don't know what they're doing. There's only one sun. And so again, it's who will see what the sun is demonstrating. It's not a matter of seeing the sun, but what is the sun demonstrating? And it is the best demonstration of the isness life is. And it is a completeness, but it's endless. This is what's so cool. But in creation, see, they're selling just like the God idea, the all-knowing God, the absolute all-knowing. Well, there are no absolutes in creation. There's always something else because cause and effect. There cannot be absolutes. And they're trying to sell their absolute package. And all of a sudden, oh, will you go to this place? You'll be happy and blah, blah, blah. Will you? No, actually, you'll get bored. How much birthday cake can you eat until you're just bored with it? You see? So again, the challenge of the recognizing the isness, it keeps you going to where you become awesome because you need that challenge. You want that challenge. That's why most people that just hang around, they're bored. They don't know that they have the opportunity to decide a challenge to where they recognize and shock themselves into waking up. That's what I'm providing with the projects and everything else, helping people along to educate them, a real education and real guidance, so that they can move into that area and confront things and have that challenge to wake up and see more. Yeah, it's so cool how it works. Yeah, better than any passive spiritual path or sound good trip to another planet or dimension, you know. You don't know what dimension that is. He don't even know. You know, nobody knows what their God is. Everybody prays to God. Look at most of the world prays to God. Nobody knows who their gods are. They have no idea. And if they did confront the gods, who they really are, it'd scare the hell out of them and put them into a shock and a coma. But they want to pretend that it's all okay, you see, or Jesus will save us. Nobody can save anybody. You know, we're in life. This is it. This is the first part of the process. And it's up to us, take on the journey and the challenge to recognize it. So fortunately, you know, I've come here to do this, and the real guides have, you know, I've been with them for lifetimes to set this up, to come here through all this. And Paul Twitchell was first, 1965, when he took the rod of power. Then I came in 2001, but it was prep way before that to do that. Now the new wave is way more so than any of that. And so even Paul's spiritual path, which is Eckankar, that's all taken over by reptilian Joan Klemp, and Harry, the puppet master. They took it over. It's a business, and they tap line everybody. They destroy people. Yeah, to where they're vampires. And there's many offshoots like Vardencar and Denami and the Way of Truth and all these things, Scientology and all this nonsense, John Roger Hinkins' Messiah, and many, many more. But they're all vampires. They all tapline people, and they don't recognize it. And the Hugh and the and the men and all these things, these are all with the vampires, which are the reptilians. They've taken it over all of it, and they've made it look good to pursue people to keep them as supporters. And this will show up on your real side. And it gets a little scary at times and confusing, but it will. But eventually, you know, like Robin Hood, James Bond, and Indiana Jones, you'll start to get the picture. And this is your time. You have this opportunity, but you are the decider, young man. Yes, go ahead.